Ahoy there, speculative pirates, Pastafarians, and ye seekers of sacred carbohydrates. Welcome aboard. I be Captain Dread Pyrate Higgs, humble host for the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster of British Columbia, and licensed purveyor of spiritual marinara. If you be new here, this be a Pastafarian sermon served up weekly, devoted to the praise and glory of our Lowly Lord, wherein we explore life, spirituality, philosophy, and other matters of importance, such as whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza. And for the record, no toppings are forbidden by the monster. So don your colanders and tricorns with pride. Fill your goblets with grog. Arm yourselves with the instruments of consumption, and let the spiritual feasting begin. Ahoy, and jolly Friday, me mates and fellow Pastafarians. As always, we gather beneath the benevolent gaze of the flying spaghetti monster, whose noodles remind us that even the longest strand must eventually find its place within the bowl. Before we begin, let us pause for a moment. Not because we have arrived somewhere important, but because stopping even briefly has become something of a forgotten art. Today, we welcome back aboard our Roman companion, Lucius Aeneas Seneca. Last Friday, he suggested something unsettling. Life is not short. We simply waste much of it. This week, he tightens the knot. He suggests that many of us are not actually living at all. We are merely preparing to live. There is an odd habit among human beings. We live as though life begins just beyond the next milestone. I'll be happy when, I'll rest after, I'll write that book once, I'll visit my family next summer, I'll volunteer when work settles down, I'll finally learn to paint after retirement. Always after, always later, always tomorrow. Seneca noticed this some 2,000 years ago. People, he said, spend their lives getting ready to live while life quietly slips past them. The flying spaghetti monster must surely find this both heartbreaking and a little amusing. Imagine spending the entire mealtime reading the menu. Permit me another tale from the great kitchen beneath the colander. Each soul arrives and is handed a warm bowl of pasta. The aroma fills the room. Steam rises gently into the air. The table is surrounded by laughter. Yet, many diners never lift their forks. Some are still deciding whether the sauce is hot enough, good enough. Others wonder where tomorrow's special might be better. A few spend the entire evening comparing their bowl with everyone else's. When the meal is finally taken away, they complain they were never properly fed. The flying spaghetti monster says very little. He simply clears the plates. We are remarkably willing to borrow against a future that has never agreed to lend us anything. We postpone conversations, acts of forgiveness, dreams, books, friendships, wonder. We postpone becoming the sort of person we secretly hope to become, always assuming there will be another season, another Friday, another bowl of noodles. Well, there may be, but there may not. Pastafarianism has never been particularly concerned with frightening people with death. Fear is a poor teacher. Awareness is a much better one. The point is not that tomorrow may never come. The point is that today already has. I sometimes think the most expensive word in the English language is later. Later has ended more friendships than arguments. Later has buried more books than criticism. Later has prevented more apologies than pride. Later has quietly stolen more adventures than poverty ever could. We imagine later as a promise. Very often, it is only a hope. Wearing nicer clothes. Let our attention return to the great library beneath the colander. It is said that every honest search for truth finds a shelf there, not because every idea proves correct, but because every sincere question matters. Seneca has a chair there now. So do Socrates and Hypatia, Marie Curie, Charles Darwin, Carl Sagan. Perhaps one day, someone whose name no history book remembers. Because, as we've said before, wisdom is welcome to the table before credentials are examined. There is one curious feature of this library. It contains no volumes entitled Things I Meant to Do. There are no unwritten novels, no unsung songs, no unspoken apologies, no unlived kindnesses. Only what was actually given to the world. That thought humbles me every time I imagine walking its halls. I must confess something. Even pirates postpone things. Even captains imagine there will be another voyage, another sermon, another conversation, another chance to tell someone they are part of the crew. But perhaps that is why we gather each Friday. Not because the flying spaghetti monster expects us to be there, but because he gently interrupts our postponements. Every Friday, he seems to ask one simple question: what are you waiting for? Not angrily, almost tenderly, as though he already knows the answer. There is a curious myth that has spread across modern civilization. It says we must become worthy before we begin. We must be smarter, healthier, wealthier, more organized, less frightened, more successful. Then we will finally live. The noodly one has never seemed terribly impressed by perfection. He appears rather fond of people who simply pick up their fork, write the page, make the call, take the walk, offer the apology, cook the meal, read that difficult book, laugh loudly, begin awkwardly, and love imperfectly. Live now. As we leave the table today, I hope none of us become experts at preparing for life. I hope we become amateurs at living it. May the sacred calendar continue catching truth wherever it falls. May we remember that tomorrow has never signed a contract with any of us. And may we never spend so long reading the menu that we forget to taste the meal. For every bowl eventually grows cold. But while it is before us, there is still time to reflect and to say, Ramen. If you've enjoyed today's sermon, or it has at least given you a hankering for pasta, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with a friend who could use a little more carbohydrate-based philosophical perspective and saucy theological inspiration. New sermons arrive every Friday, God willing, because our monster appreciates a degree of regularity and plenty of leftovers. Until next time, may you be touched by his noodly appendages, sated by his zesty sauce, and cradled in his comfy colander. Fair winds, following seas, and as ever, Ramen. Aye, aye, and goodbye.